All right, we're live. Um, you know me, only the big issues. So finally, I'm a little late on this, obviously, like by a couple of weeks, but whatever. It's worth it. So this beautiful young lady here is she's speaking out about online harassment and Hayden Christensen's even you remember Hayden Christensen from the Star Wars prequels, who was, turned into a meme and mocked relentlessly. You know, people in their 30s and 20s will remember Hayden well. Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars. Well, he suffered a lot of, how could you say? He suffered a lot of shit, you could say. But, let's read this article from Cinema Blend. Kelly Marie Tran recently spoke publicly about the online harassment that eventually drove her off social media. Now, a fellow Star Wars alum has some advice. Hayden Christensen knows a little bit about dealing with the ire of Star Wars fans, and when recently asked about what Tran was going through, he tried to remind her of the ones making the loudest noise are a minority of the people out there, according to Christensen. Quote, I don't know if I have any advice for that, but just, you know, don't take it too seriously because unfortunately, bullies are the ones that make the most noise. But the majority of people don't feel that way. So keep that in mind. Huh. That's weird because I just read this entire article from the New York Times, who got an exclusive with Kelly Marie Tran. And yeah, let's just go through it. Editor's note: the actress deleted her Instagram post this summer in response to online harassment. That's second source to imply that, and the other source even named Star Wars fan. Here she speaks out for the first time. It wasn't just their words; it's that I started to believe them. Their words seemed to confirm what growing up as a woman and a person of color already taught me, that I belonged in margins and spaces, valid only as a minor character in their lives and stories. And those words awakened something deep inside me, a feeling I thought I had grown out of, the same feeling I had when, at 9, I stopped speaking Vietnamese altogether because I was tired of hearing other kids mock me, or at 17, when at dinner with my white boyfriend and his family, I ordered a meal in perfect English, and to the surprise of the waitress, who exclaimed, Wow, it's so cute that you have an exchange student. Their words reinforced a narrative I had heard my whole life, that I was other, that I didn't belong, that I wasn't good enough, simply because I wasn't like them. And that feeling, I realize now, was and is shame. A shame for the things that made me different, a shame for the culture from which I came from. And to me, the most disappointing thing was that I felt it all. Because the same society that taught some people that they were heroes, saviors, inheritors of the manifest destiny ideal, taught me I existed only in the background of their stories, doing their nails, diagnosing their illnesses, supporting their love interests, and perhaps the most damaging, waiting for them to rescue me. And for a long time, I believed them. I believed those words, those stories, carefully crafted by a society that was built to uphold the power of one type of person, one sex, one skin tone, one existence. Man, wherever the fuck you grew up, it sounds messed up. Continuing, it reinforced within me rules that were written before I was born, rules that made my parents deem it necessary to abandon their real names and adopt American ones, Tony and Kay. So it was easier for others to pronounce, a literal erasure of culture that still has me aching to the core. Okay, I've known plenty of Asians who have moved from Southeast Asia and done this too. And their explanation to me was never this, that they felt like this. Not saying that they didn't, or there aren't people out there that did, but they said, you try and say my name and we get it completely wrong. But that's still not okay that happened. I'm not saying that at all. Continuing on. And as much as I hate to admit it, I started blaming myself. I thought, Oh, maybe if I was thinner, or maybe if I grew out my hair, and worst of all, maybe if I wasn't Asian. For months, I went down a spiral of self hate into the darkest recesses of my mind, places where I tore myself apart, where I put their words above my own self worth. And it was then that I realized I had been lied to. I had been brainwashed into believing that my existence was limited to the boundaries of another person's approval. I had been tricked into thinking that my body was not my own, that I was beautiful only if someone else believed it, regardless of my own opinion. I had been told and retold this by everyone, by the media, by Hollywood, by companies that profited from them. My insecurities manipulating me so that I would buy their clothes, their makeup, their shoes in order to fill a void that was perpetuated by them in the first place. Interesting. So far she's grown up in a place that wasn't so tolerant of her background. Uh, she got harassed and mocked by mostly white people wherever she grew up. And she talked about what her family had to go through, and she's also talked about how she's been basically put into a box, a stereotype box, a casting type box. By whom? And abused and mentally taught and mentally abused. By who? By the media, by Hollywood, by companies that profited from my insecurities, manipulating me so that I would buy their clothes, their makeup, their shoes in order to fill a void that was perpetuated by them in the first place. Kelly Marie Tran recently spoke publicly about the online harassment that eventually drove her off social media. Now, a fellow. Well, I haven't found that yet, so let's continue. But it looks like that the New York Times, a major media outlet, and Cinema Blend, it looks like they're colluding, if you will. Hmm. Yeah. Yes, Tran continues. Yes, I have been lied to. We all have. I can't keep that voice up for long, so if it changes, I'm sorry. And if it was in the realization that I felt a different shame, not a shame for who I was, but a shame for the world I grew up in, and a shame for how that world treats everyone who is different. Yeah, I'm not the first person to have grown up this way. What does any of this have to do with Star Wars? Maybe we'll find out. This is what it is to grow up as a person of color in a white dominated world. We don't dominate the whole world, love, just the West. And not forever either. Birth rates are showing that mixed relationship. Oh, that's all irrelevant to this, but times are changing, love. Oh, did I just commit a microaggression? Ooh. This is what it is to be a woman in a society that has taught its daughters that we are worthy of love only if we are deemed attractive by its sons. Not exclusively. I'm pretty sure most people are fine if you want to be attractive by someone else's daughter if you're a woman. It's okay to be gay. This is the world I grew up in, but not the world I wanted to leave behind. Don't worry, it's not going to be. I want to live in a world where children of color don't spend their entire adolescence wishing to be white. I want to live in a world where women are not subjected to a scrutiny for their appearance, or their actions, or their general existence. I want to live in a world where people of all races, religions, socioeconomic classes, sexual orientations, gender identities, and abilities are seen as what they have always been human beings. This is a world I want to live in, and this is the world that I will continue to work toward. These are the thoughts that run through my head every time I pick up a script or screenplay or a book. I know the opportunity given to me is rare, and I know that now I belong to a small group of privileged people who get to tell stories for a living. Stories that are heard and seen and digested by a world that for so long has tasted only one thing: white penis. Oh, wait, sorry. That wasn't in there. My bad. That's fake news. That's fake news. I know how important that is, and I am not giving up. You might know me as Kelly. I am the first woman of color to have a leading role in Star Wars. Yeah, well, the first person of color was, I believe, Lando Calrissian. So you can never take that away from Lando. I'm the first Asian woman to appear on the cover of Vanity Fair. Oh, good shit. My real name is Lone, and I'm just getting started. And that's the end of the article. Kelly Marie Tran recently spoke publicly about the online harassment that eventually drove her off social media. Nowhere in this entire article from Lone Marie Tran, her name is Lone Marie Tran, so, stop being racist, New York Times. This beautiful young woman is talking about her life and growing up and trying to get work in Hollywood. She named the media and Hollywood. She said nothing about Star Wars fans, so I don't know what Cinema Blend and all these people are talking about there, John. Kelly Marie Tran. So tragic. Well, Kelly Marie Tran speaks out. And what did we learn? We learned that Hollywood are a bunch of racist, mostly white, stereotyping, insecure, intolerant assholes who project all of their prejudices onto everyone around them. So they're a bunch of it's fake news, like actual fake news, not like when you hear it on TV or radio. Like that what we just went through is fake news. So I love entertainment media. I love it. Kelly Marie Tran, you sound like a lovely person, and I probably would have been nice to you if I grew up around you, but your character in Star Wars is still trash. Right, Rose Tico still is a shitty character. There's no like I have no reason to care about her at all. She's like one of the worst characters in the history of cinema, not just Star Wars. And Star Wars The Last Jedi is still one of the worst movies to have ever been written. In fact, it could be the worst film I've ever seen. So yeah, that's all.